In fact, it's some news just coming in. Sonia Gandhi held a meeting with top leaders at her residence just a short while back to review the political situation. Among those present, Vala Ravi, Prithviraj Chauhan and Shivraj Patil.
All right, no more details on this at this stage, but earlier in the day, the Prime Minister met a group of editors and spoke on a range of issues from the nuclear deal to the trust vote and inflation.
NDTV's group editor Barkha Dutt was at that meeting. She said a relaxed Prime Minister told them he's confident of winning the trust vote. He also said he was confident of the nuclear deal going through and it in no way will hurt India's strategic program or compromise India's foreign policy.
For a politician whose political survival and future is going to be decided in exactly 7 days from now, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was amazingly relaxed. He didn't seem at all nervous about the political storm that's brewing all around him. He spent an hour talking to a small group of us over breakfast. And so while Congress minders may be out huddled over their calculators, chasing the ones and the twos to ensure that the UPA actually wins its vote of confidence in Parliament, Dr. Manmohan Singh himself seemed very confident of winning that vote. He said, although he wasn't an astrologer, he was reasonably confident that both his deal, both his government and the nuclear deal that he's risked so much for would go through. Now, as you can imagine, much of the conversation was about the nuclear deal, the Prime Minister making the point that the draft of the safeguards agreement that has now been made public, that's now in the public domain for all of us to read, makes it clear, according to the Prime Minister, that India's strategic interests are not being compromised, that India's nuclear weapons program is not being influenced in any way. The Prime Minister made the point again to the journalists, those of us he met for breakfast, that he believed that this deal was going to end India's nuclear apartheid. Now he was quite categorical and careful to put out the point that although a strategic closeness with the United States of America is something that finds mention in the UPA's common minimum program, it is not at the cost of an independent foreign policy. So, for example, the government's positions on Iran or the American invasion of Iraq remain independent. They're not being influenced by this nuclear deal. The Prime Minister has faced a certain degree of criticism from the opposition that all of its attention has been focused on the nuclear deal and not on other essential issues like rising prices. So it was no surprise that a large part of his conversation with us also focused on the issue of inflation, which he actually described as probably the biggest challenge facing his government today. But wearing the economist's hat, he made the argument that this is not a typical inflation. It's influenced by global factors like rising oil prices. He said the government doesn't have a magic wand, and he was concerned as an economist that in order to bring down prices in the short run, growth should not get hurt in the long run. So he was telling us that he didn't want what he calls a tight money approach to controlling inflation. So all in all, it was a freewheeling conversation about a whole host of things, but the nuclear deal and India's foreign policy and inflation really being the key items on the menu, the breakfast menu as it were. But yes, given that it's now 7 days in the final countdown, the end game is here for the Prime Minister and the UPA. This was a man who came across as somebody who had decided to walk down a certain road, who knew there was no turning back, and who seemed pretty confident at least that he would reach the destination he set out to reach.